experts say the new AI companion is here.
Oh boy, but how healthy is that for basic human connection? One expert says
Not at all.
the new technology could devalue the authenticity of people.
Long term, we run this risk of people relying so heavily on it and kind of having a disconnect between who they are, but what AI says and presents to them, and almost showing up as this kind of alter ego. That gets really dangerous because we start to kind of squash the authenticity of people.
Here to react is technologist and software engineer David Auerbach. David, thanks for being with us this morning. I recently had a conversation with several AI experts who said within the next 5 years, I said, give me your prediction about the next 5 years. And they said within 5 years, you'll have personal concierges and people will probably be on the road to having a relationship with artificial intelligence. How does that change? I mean, satisfying a need here we all have to connect. How does that change who we are as humans?
Well, there are already chatbots out there that are people, of course, to act romantically with them, and they were devastated when they were turned off. So one of the issues is just when you have people manufacturing these things that can create that level of emotional connection with a human being, well, that's a pretty powerful force. But
it's really sad, y'all.
whether it's 5 years or 10 years from now, I think it is coming. People got attached to their Tamagotchis, if you remember, those old little devices that had like the little virtual pets. People would cry and be devastated when they ran out of batteries. So, I think this is just the latest version of a long tradition of giving people what they want emotionally.
Wow.
What they want, not what they need.
Let's get your take. Reed Blackman was on
What they want, not what they need.
the program yesterday on Fox and Friends, highlighting the future of AI and human relationships. Listen to what he had to say.
People form relationships with them. There was one chatbot company that actually cut off their chatbot companions, and people were really upset because they had formed emotional attachments to these things. And then when you combine it with what I said earlier, the faces that look like they're speaking, it's going to be that face. It's too real. It's going to be the faces that people want to see, right? It's not just going to be some arbitrary face. It's going to be a face that speaks to the preferences of the particular person they're speaking to. They're going to learn to trust them, and they're going to form relationships with these things for better or worse.
So, David, as you pointed out, people have formed relationships with little digitized dogs that had. When it's a real human face and a voice and it sounds emotional, I mean, how much more attached will people get?
It could be very, very powerful. If there's a benefit, it's that these AIs aren't going to act quite human. They can be a little weird. If you've looked at some of the transcripts of what people have said, the AIs aren't quite convincingly human. And the longer you talk to them, the more that shows.
But they're going to get better and better over time. And at the rate that they're going to get better and better is just out of this world.
Up.
Yeah.
You can get them to say all sorts of craziness pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say but also the longer you think that something that has no soul is real and the more detached you become, the more you just can't recognize the real deal anymore. I mean, you're a technologist. I think we need a lot more theologians on this beat because there's something really scary, I think, in our future when we start devaluing real, authentic human relationships.
They were already there, too.
I think we're already there. I think that, a lot of online conduct that happens today already, even without AI being the present, has been stripped down to some of its most superficial and inhuman aspects. That just because there's a human on the other end doesn't mean that you're, dealing with the best part of humanity.
Oh, that's really interesting.
One of the points I make in the book I just wrote, Meganets, is that these systems tend to reinforce the parts of us that are most computable. So we're already being encouraged to strip ourselves down to a bunch of labels and identifiers and be seen in those terms. AIs extend that even further, but the irony, I think, is that we were already headed there.
Wow, that's really interesting.
It is. Got us thinking about it this morning, David. David Auerbach, appreciate your time, and this is only the beginning. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.
Yeah, like you said, it really is only the beginning. At the rate that this technology is developing is really scary. I don't know about y'all, but it's developing a lot faster than you would think. And, and another video I did, I talked about how the AI is writing its own code so that it cannot be shut down by humans. And that is blackmailing the person that wrote the code in the first place. It's actually blackmailing that person. And they also talked about how this is not happening like, 5% of the time, 10% of the time. This actually happened about 80% of the time. And those numbers are alarming. But I think that we just need to get back to the basics of humanity. Like, do you know how many people can't even have a conversation with you and look you in the eye while you're having a conversation? It's This is not the direction we want to go down. We should learn how to use AI as a tool and as something that's going to aid us in what we're trying to accomplish, whether that's business or personal life, whatever the case is. We should be relying this as a form of relationship. And the thing is, they probably didn't even intend to even use it as a form of relationship. We're already not getting as much social interaction as we were because of our cell phones, our tablets, whatever the case. We are addicted to our cell phones and our tablets. I try to make it a point to not be as dependent on my cell phone. I'm usually pretty good during the weekend. I usually out doing whatever, might be working out, might be hanging out with friends, whatever the case is. Yeah, sure, I might have it on me, but I'm not in a situation to where I'm just hooked to the phone like that. Weekdays is usually when I notice myself paying a lot more attention to my phone than a weekend. But I'm trying to do a better job at not relying on it that much. This is something that I think is going to be coming and developing a lot faster than we think. I think we're going to start to hear a lot more stories like this. A lot more than we expect to hear, a lot more than we want to hear, but it's coming. But what do y'all think about this? Do y'all think this is not a big deal, or do you think this is concerning and alarming? Drop a like and a comment, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.